Welcome back to another exciting day of Algebra 2. Today we are solving exponential and logarithmic equations. So up first we have exponential equations, and these are our three steps. The first one is isolate the exponential expression. This might not always need to be done. It might already be isolated, in which case we would skip straight to step 2, which is rewrite it in logarithmic form. And then number 3, solve it in our calculator. So let's jump right into part A of example 1. We are going to round to 3 decimal places when needed. So starting on A, 10 to the x, that is my exponential expression, and it is totally by itself. Nothing's being added or subtracted, nothing is being multiplied or divided, so there's nothing I need to do to isolate it. It's already isolated, which means I'm going to step 2, which is rewrite it in logarithmic form. So that is going to be log base 10 of 74 equals x. Now I'm going to solve that in my calculator. Now this is my common base, base 10, so I can just use the log button that's on my home screen, log base 10, of 74. And so x is going to be 1.869. And that's it for that one. Let's look at B. Again, my exponential expression's by itself, so I can go straight to writing this as a log. This is going to be log base 18 of 2 equals x. And now I have a base that's not 10, so this is where I'm going to use my math alpha A and type in log base 18 of 2. And x for part B is 0.240. All right, moving into some more challenging ones, C and D. On C, I need to move the 8 in order to isolate my exponential expression, so I'm going to do that with subtraction. So 4 to the 5x equals 78. Now my exponential expression is by itself, so I can rewrite this as a log. Log base 4 of 78 equals 5x. I can find log base 4 of 78 in my calculator. And that's going to be 3.143, and that's equal to 5x. So in order to find x, I need to divide that value by 5. And x is 0.629. Okay, on to D. I need to move this 7, so I'm going to divide it on both sides. Now, 96 over 7 is not going to give me a whole number, so I am going to leave it as a fraction because I want to make sure I'm doing exact numbers, not rounding, not any ugly decimals. So my exponential is now by itself, so log base 20 of 96 divided by 7 equals x plus 8. So I'm going to type this in my calculator now. Math alpha A, log base 20 of 96 divided by 7. And that's equal to x plus 8. So to solve for x, I'm going to subtract 8. And that is negative 7.126. All right, last two for this side. On to E. I have two things I need to undo. Again, using order of operations, first I need to add the 3. Then I'm going to divide by negative 7. Again, I'm not going to get a whole number, so I want to leave it as a fraction. But I do have a negative divided by a negative, so that is going to be positive 54 over 7. Now writing it as a log. Ready to use my calculator. Now to solve for x, I'm going to subtract 1 and divide by 6. And to 3 decimal places, negative 0.041. All right, last but not least, again, I have two things I need to undo. The first being adding 10. Then I'm going to divide by 7. Again, I'm not going to get a whole number, so I want to leave it as a fraction. Then I'm ready to write it as a log. Typing in my calculator. Then I have to add 3 and divide by negative 6.9. All right, and that is it for our front side, which is solving exponential equations. Moving on to the back, I'm now going to be solving log equations, which has similar steps, but there's one step that we kind of do in reverse. I'm going to isolate my log expression if needed. Then instead of writing it as an exponential like I did on the front, writing it as a log as I did on the front, I'm going to write it as an exponential and solve. So starting on example 2, part A, log base 3 of x. This whole thing is my log expression. It is already isolated. Nothing's being added or subtracted. Nothing is being multiplied or divided. So I'm ready to go to step 2, which is write it in exponential form. And that's going to be 3 to the 4th equals x. Well, 3 to the 4th is 81. And that's it. I'm done. Let's go to B. Log base 9 of x minus 3 equals 0. Now, because the x minus 3 is in parentheses here, that means it's part of the log expression. So the log is actually isolated. Now, if this minus 3 had been outside of the parentheses, then that would indicate to me that I had to isolate it. And we'll see some examples like that later on. But because it's in parentheses, anytime you see it in parentheses, it's part of the log expression. So I'm going straight to step 2, which is write it as an exponential equation. 9 to the 0, anything to the 0 power is 1. I just need to add 3 now, and I get that x is 4. Okay, on to C. So here is my log expression. Again, the negative 10x is in parentheses, which means it's part of it. So what I need to isolate is this negative 8, which I'm going to be dividing by negative 8 on both sides. Now I'm going to write it as an exponential. So this is going to be 1/2 equals negative 10x. So I need to divide by negative 10 on both sides. And so x is going to be negative 1/20. If you don't know how to do that, let your calculator do the work for you. If I have 1/2 and I divide by negative 10, if I hit math, enter, enter, it makes it a fraction for me. So don't work harder than you have to. All right, on to D. Here's my log expression. I need to get rid of that negative. So this is by itself now. So 12 to the negative 2 equals 9x. That's going to be 1/144. So again, I'm going to be dividing a fraction. So I'm going to use my calculator. 1/144 divided by 9. Math, enter, enter. There we go. Just 2 more left. On to E. Here is my log expression. So I've got 2 things to undo. Order of operations says I need to do the 4 first. Then I'm going to divide by 9. Write it as an exponential. Now to solve for x, I need to subtract 3 and divide by 9. I'm going to do that in my calculator. Let it do the hard work for you. Minus 3, divide by 9. Math, enter, enter. That's it. Okay, last but not least, let's subtract the 7. Okay, then I'm going to divide by negative 1. Write it as an exponential. All right, so solve for x. I need to add 6 and divide by 2. I'm going to let my calculator do the hard work for me. 1/3 plus 6 divide by 2. Oops. There we go. Easy peasy. And that is it for solving exponential and log equations.